The sky of Velmara was on fire. Flames rose from the cities as Graltech warships rained destruction from above. Great towers that once touched the clouds now lay broken. Homes were crushed. Schools turned to ash. Smoke covered the skies. The ground shook with every blast, and the screams of the innocent echoed through the streets. In the capital city, young children cried in underground shelters. Parents held them close, whispering soft lies. It'll be okay, even though they knew it. Wouldn't the Graltech Empire had come without warning, without mercy, and without reason. Velmara had always been peaceful. Its people loved science, art, and peace. They believed in harmony with other species. Their fleets were small, mostly for exploration, their weapons old, barely used. They believed war was behind them. They were wrong. Inside the Grand Tower, half-burned and shaking from the blasts above, Chancellor Lorin stood before a cracked console. His uniform was torn, his hands dirty with ash and blood, but his voice was steady. "Activate the long-range beacon," he said. "But, Chancellor," his assistant replied, "no one is left to help us." The Galactic Council refused. Syndicate turned their backs. Even the Zorak Alliance ignored our call. "I know," Lorin said quietly, "but anyone might be listening." The assistant hesitated, then pressed the button. A blue light blinked slowly, then faster, then stopped. The beacon was live. Chancellor Lorin leaned in close to the microphone. "This is Velmara. We are under attack. The Graltech Empire is destroying our cities, our people. We are dying. Please, anyone, help us." The message repeated across deep space, sent in hundreds of languages. Then the beacon fell silent. No response, just static. Hours passed. The sun never rose. Smoke covered the sky, hiding the stars. She hadn't slept in 2 days. "Is that a response?" she whispered. The signal was faint, not in Velmaran format, not from any known sector, but it was clear. One word, incoming. She called Chancellor Lorin. He arrived within minutes, pushing past guards and medics. He stared at the screen. "What species?" he asked. "No match," Saren replied. "Ship design, unknown origin, untraceable, speed, extremely high." Lorin frowned. Velmaran leaders gathered quickly. Some cheered. Others feared. "Maybe it's help," one scientist said. "Or another enemy," a soldier growled. "Why would they say nothing but incoming? No name, no flag, no demand, just that." "Chancellor." Lorin raised his hand. "We cannot guess. We can only prepare. Power up all remaining defense systems. Ready the emergency shields. And keep the civilians underground." For hours passed, like a slow breath. Eyes turned to the skies. Telescopes scanned the clouds above. Then, suddenly, silence. No explosions, no sound. Just a shape in the sky. It wasn't like any Graltech ship. It was smooth, dark silver, shaped like a dagger, but far larger than anything Velmara had ever seen. It floated silently, without engines glowing, without lights flashing. Capital Dot. And then it landed. The ground didn't shake. It didn't crush buildings. It simply lowered, touched the earth gently, and stopped. Velmaran soldiers aimed their weapons. Civilians watched from deep shelters, holding their breath. A door on the ship opened. Steam hissed out. From the darkness inside, a single figure stepped forward. Tall, 2 arms, 2 legs. The voice came, not through speakers, not through the air dot, but directly into the minds of every Velmaran in the area. A calm, steady voice. "We heard your call." Gasps filled the shelters. Soldiers stepped back. The figure removed his helmet. He was human, pale skin, short hair, cold, sharp eyes, but no anger, no fear. Chancellor Lorin stepped forward slowly. "You are human?" he asked. "Yes," the man replied. "Captain Rhodes, Earth sent us." "Earth? But Earth is isolated. Humans avoid contact with most species." "We heard your plea," Rhodes said simply. Lorin looked at him closely. "Why? Why come now? Why help us?" Rhodes gave a small, almost sad smile. "We remember what it's like to be ignored." Before Lorin could ask more, a warning siren blared. Graltech scouts had returned. "Chancellor," a voice shouted through the cum. "Enemy ships approaching." Rhodes didn't move. He looked up at the sky. Then he tapped a small device on his wrist. From his ship, 2 more humans stepped out, 1 male, 1 female. Both wore the same black armor. No weapons in hand, no panic. Team Rhodes said, "Let's show them what happens when you hurt the wrong people." The humans walked forward slowly. The Graltech ships fired first. Laser blasts lit the sky, but the humans moved, like shadows too fast to follow. 1 blink, and they were gone. No sound, just fire and silence. In minutes, the scouts were gone. Wreckage fell to the ground. The Velmarans stared, frozen, not cheering. It was soft. How did you do that?" Rhodes looked at him calmly. "You asked for help?" Lorraine nodded slowly. "Yes, thank you." Rhodes didn't reply. He simply walked back to his ship. The door closed behind him. The silver vessel sat still, again silent. Of the Velmarans, are they truly our saviors, or something far more dangerous? The answer had not yet arrived. Smoke still rose from the wreckage of the Graltech ships. For the first time in weeks, Velmara's skies were quiet. No bombs, no lasers, no screams. But peace didn't return. Not really, because now something new had arrived, something that didn't feel like peace at all in the ruined capital. Chancellor Lorin stood at the edge of the crater where the human ship had landed. A small team of Velmaran guards flanked him, all of them watching the ship nervously. The surface of the alien vessel was smooth like glass, no windows, no symbols, no signs of weakness. Then the door opened again. 3 humans stepped out, this time Captain Rhodes in front. Behind him, the same 2 silent figures who had destroyed the Graltech scouts, 1 woman, 1 man. Both wore black armor. No weapons in sight, no smiles, no greetings. Chancellor Lorin Rhodes said calmly, "We request access to your planetary network." "Why?" Lorin asked, trying to keep his voice firm. "To locate Graltech command centers," Rhodes replied, "and other threats. And if we say no," Rhodes paused. "Just for a second then. We will protect you, the slower way." Lorin looked into his eyes. Cold, focused, not cruel, but empty, like someone who had seen too much war and forgotten how to feel. Still, Velmara had no other hope. "Very well," Lorin said. "We'll grant limited access to our systems, but your people will be monitored at all times." Rhodes nodded. Agreed. Hours later, inside the shattered remains of Velmara's defense hub, the humans worked in silence. Rhodes sat in front of a screen, his fingers moving quickly across the controls, but he wasn't typing. His movements were too fast, too precise. The console beeped, lights flickered. Then suddenly the entire system rebooted. "What did you just do?" Saren, the Velmaran lieutenant, asked in alarm. "Cleaned your system," Rhodes replied. "Removed spyware, upgraded the firewall, boosted your targeting range by 700%. Saren stared. "You did that in 12 seconds. Rhodes didn't look at her. It was inefficient before. Another human, the woman with red hair and a scar on her cheek, walked past carrying a black case. Saren followed her. "Excuse me, what's in that box?" The woman stopped, looked at her, then said, "Hope," and kept walking. Later that evening, Chancellor Lorin invited Rhodes for a private meeting. They sat alone in the remains of the old council hall. Most of the building was destroyed, but the table still stood. A single light flickered overhead. Lorin began, "Your help saved lives. I will not forget that. But I must ask, why are you really here?" Rhodes looked at him calmly. "You called for help?" Earth answered. "Yes," Lorin said. But not even the Galactic Council responded. Why would Earth, long silent, far awake, come now? Rhodes didn't blink. "We heard your signal." "That's not what I mean," Lorin pressed. "I've studied human history. Earth has been quiet for over 50 years. You left the Council. You stopped trade. You vanished from diplomacy. Why come back now? Why Velmara?" Rhodes leaned forward, his voice lower now. "Because you matter," Lorin frowned. "We matter? Why?" "You're close to Graltech space," Rhodes said. "You're peaceful, advanced, weak, just like we used to be." "Used to be?" Rhodes stood up, walked slowly to the broken window. "Before the fall," he said softly. "What fall?" Lorin asked. Rhodes didn't answer. Not directly. Instead, he turned to face him and said, "Earth tried peace. Earth trusted. Earth was betrayed. So we rebuilt. quietly, alone. Loren's blood ran cold. What did you become? Rhodes looked out the window again. Something useful. That night, the humans began transforming Velmera's defenses. No blueprints, no long meetings, they simply worked. They rebuilt the shield grid with dark metal panels no one had ever seen. They placed strange black towers on the hills outside the city, silent machines with no lights, no signals. They installed small devices in the shelters that made the air cleaner, the walls stronger. Everything worked instantly. One technician asked how they did it. The human simply said, "We designed for survival, not comfort." But not everyone was thankful. In the refugee zone near the East Crater, a small group of Velmerans argued in whispers. One said, "This is occupation. They don't ask, they command. They don't eat, they don't sleep. Are we free? Or did we just trade one empire for another?" A teenage girl, Yali, who had lost her entire family in the first attack, sat alone nearby. She listened, but said nothing. She had seen Rhodes kill Graltech soldiers without blinking. She had seen his team walk through fire, like it was nothing. She didn't know if they were good or evil. She only knew one thing: they were the most dangerous beings she had ever seen. The next morning, a Graltech destroyer appeared in the sky. The alarm blared. Civilians screamed. Soldiers ran to their posts. Velmera's few remaining defense ships rose to meet it, but they were slow. Weak, outgunned, Chancellor Loren stood at the Central Command platform, heart pounding. "They'll break through. Our fleet won't survive." Rhodes entered calmly. "Stand down your ships," he said. "What?" Loren said. "We can't trust me." Against his instincts, Loren gave the order. Velmera's ships stopped. The Graltech destroyer moved closer. Then, without warning, one of the strange black towers outside the city powered up. It made no sound, no low dot, just a soft pulse. The Graltech destroyer exploded in the sky. No beam, no missile, just gone. Everyone in the command center froze. Saren whispered, "What was that?" Rhodes answered, without emotion. "Prototype weapon, controlled gravity collapse. Works well on anything above 50 meters. You destroyed a capital ship, without even firing." Rhodes didn't respond. He simply walked away. That night, Yali found Rhodes near the crater where his ship had landed. He was alone, standing under the stars. She stepped forward. "Rhodes," he looked at her. "Yes. Why don't you smile?" He paused. "Because we're not finished yet." Yali looked up at the stars. "What happens next?" Rhodes answered without turning. "We wait for the real army." She blinked. "You mean more Graltech?" Rhodes looked down at her finally. "No." He stepped past her and whispered one final word: "Us." Velmera had asked for help. They had been answered. But what had arrived was no longer just human. It was something else, something rebuilt in the ashes of Earth's pain. And now, it had come to Velmeron just to save it, but to test itself, and the real story had only just begun. The stars over Velmera looked peaceful again, but the people below knew better. Yes, the Graltech attacks had stopped for now. Yes, the cities were quiet again for now. But something colder had replaced the fire of war, the silence of fear. The capital's command center, Chancellor Loren reviewed the daily reports. Energy grid, now 300% more efficient. Defense shields, auto-repairing. Civilian shelters, reinforced, restocked, upgraded, all because of the humans. And yet, something felt wrong. "Why don't I feel safe?" he whispered to himself. Saren, standing nearby, said quietly, "Because they do everything without asking." Every day, the humans moved through Velmera like ghosts. They didn't talk much, they didn't laugh, didn't rest, didn't eat. They simply worked building new machines, placing strange devices across the city, and uploading something into Velmera's network. Chancellor Loren finally decided to confront Captain Rhodes. They met on the northern wall of the city, just before sunset. "Captain," Loren began, "your help saved us. We are thankful, but I must speak honestly." Rhodes didn't answer. He simply stared out over the ruined city. Loren continued, "You upgrade our systems without permission. Your people patrol our streets without orders. You place towers we don't understand. Are you helping us or taking control?" Rhodes finally spoke. His voice was calm, flat. "We do what is necessary. But why are you still here? Loren asked. The Graltech are gone. They'll return, Rhodes said. And next time, they won't just want your land. They'll want your memory wiped. Loren frowned. What does that mean? Rhodes finally looked at him. Velmara has information they want. Coordinates, history maps, things you don't know you have, Loren. Stepped back. You're saying this is not about territory. No, Rhodes said. It's about extinction. That night, Velmaran scouts discovered something hidden beneath the old central archives. A room sealed for thousands of years. Inside, a device not built by Velmarans, not by any known race, an object shaped like a star spinning, humming softly. When they touched it, it showed them images worlds long gone, symbols no one could read. A voice whispered in a dead language, and then the screen flashed, Earth access level unlocked. Saren sent a private message to Rhodes. He arrived within minutes. The room lit up when he stepped in. The device responded to him, recognizing his DNA. Loren and the others watched in stunned silence. You knew this was here, Loren said. Yes, Rhodes replied. How? Rhodes's voice was like steel, because Earth once ruled here. Long before you were born, everyone froze. You're lying, someone whispered. No, Rhodes said. Your planet was once part of the old Earth Empire. Long before the collapse, you forgot. Your people evolved. Time buried the truth, but the records didn't. Then, this Warthus attack Graltech wants this. Loren asked. Yes, Rhodes said. And now that you've activated the device, everyone knows where it is. Later that evening, young Yali approached one of the other humans, Dr. Alina Cross. She was scanning the air, reading something with a strange handheld tool. Yali asked, Why don't you ever relax? Dr. Cross looked up. Her face was tired but sharp, because the galaxy's about to remember why it feared Earth. Yali frowned. Why would anyone fear you? Dr. Cross stepped closer. Because humans don't stop. We don't surrender. We don't forget. When someone takes from us, we take everything back. Yali whispered, but Velmara didn't take anything. Dr. Cross didn't reply. She simply walked away. That night, something terrible happened. The Velmaran sky turned red. A new signal entered orbit, Graltech's main fleet, hundreds of warships, massive capital carriers. Each ship carried a strange new symbol, black stars inside circles. Rhodes stood on the central wall again. He wasn't surprised. They're here early, he said. Loren stood beside him. We can't survive this. Even with your weapons, this many ships, you won't. Fight, Rhodes said. Then what will we do? Rhodes gave a small smile. We'll scare them. As Graltech ships approached the atmosphere, the black towers placed by the humans began to glow. Dark red, pulsing, throbbing like a heartbeat. Velmarans across the city watched, confused and afraid. Then the towers sent a signal, one that blanketed the Graltech fleet in pure data, memories.images.earth, single quotes, S-Wars, Earth's plagues, Earth's dead, and worse what Earth became after the fall. Cybernetic soldiers, weapons that erased cities in seconds, machines that fed on planets, and the words, we. Remember, we returned. Graltech's fleet stopped, paused, shook, then one ship opened fire. Not on the city, but on its own ally, then another, then chaos. Graltech turned on Graltech. Within 10 minutes, the fleet was destroying itself. The Velmarans watched in shock. Did we do that? Saren asked. No, Loren whispered. They did. He looked at Rhodes. You didn't destroy them with force. You destroyed their will. Rhodes didn't look at him. We showed them what waits if they continue. After the battle, the sky was clear again, but there was no celebration. The Velmarans didn't cheer. They didn't laugh. They didn't even feel safe, because now they understood. Earth hadn't just sent warriors, it had sent weapons wrapped in human skin. That night, a final message came from Earth, straight into Chancellor Loren's private screen, text only. One line, Protocol Black is approved. Velmara is a confirmed Echo world. Integration begins. Loren stared at the message. His hands shook. Integration? He ran to find Rhodes, but the human was already gone. His ship, silent as ever, had lifted into the stars. Velmara had survived the Graltech, but it hadn't escaped, not truly, because now it belonged to a different kind of empire, one that didn't raise flags, one that didn't demand tribute, one that simply came when called and never left. The humans had answered the desperate plea, and now they had claimed what was hidden. Peace had returned, but the price, freedom, and deep in their hearts, the Velmarans finally understood the beings who answered were worse than the enemy. The stars above Velmara sparkled with quiet beauty. The war was over. The skies were clear. The cities stood still. But peace was a lie, because even though the Graltech Empire had fled or destroyed itself, the humans remained, and with each passing hour, they became harder to understand and impossible to stop. Chancellor Lorraine stood in his private chamber, staring at the message glowing on his screen. Protocol Black is approved. Velmara is a confirmed Echo World. Integration begins. He didn't know what Echo World meant, but he knew what it felt like, control, and he knew what was happening. Velmara had survived the Graltech's fire, only to fall into Earth's shadow. In the city center, humans now patrolled the rebuilt streets. They said nothing. They smiled at no one. Their faces were calm, emotionless. But wherever they walked, doors opened. Systems obeyed. No Velmaran commander had that kind of access. A quiet rumor began to spread across the population. We were not rescued, we were captured. In the ruins of the old science hall, young Yali stood with Lieutenant Saren, watching as human engineers built something underground. It looked like a power core, but nothing Velmaran. Black, smooth, and humming. With quiet energy. JAL, I asked, "What are they building?" Saren shook her head. "We don't know. Did anyone ask? We tried. They said it was classified." Yali stepped closer, trying to peek. Then a human guard appeared beside her. He didn't raise his voice, didn't threaten her. He just said one sentence, "Please step back. This is a restricted zone." Yali stared into his eyes. They were empty. Not cruel, not kind, just ... empty. She stepped back, but in her mind, a new fear bloomed. What if this is who they really are? That night, Lorin called an emergency council meeting. Only a few leaders remained. The rest had either gone into hiding or lost faith. Lorin spoke calmly, but his voice was heavy. "We need answers. We need control of our planet again." One elder asked, "You want to fight them?" "No," Loren said. "We want to know the truth." At dawn, Loren met Captain Rhodes again. They stood in the highest tower of Velmarath, the one that overlooked the whole city. It had been rebuilt in just 2 days by humans. Loren held up a tablet. "This message," he said. "What is protocol?" Black Rhodes didn't answer. Loren stepped closer. "What is an Echo World?" Rhodes looked at him, quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Do you know what happened to Earth?" Loren frowned. "You said Earth was betrayed? You rebuilt. You became stronger." Rhodes nodded. "True, but you don't know the whole story." He turned to face the rising sun. "Earth didn't just rebuild. We remembered what we used to be before the collapse. We found old maps, old signals. We learned that we were not just one world. We were once 1,000. The old Earth Empire stretched across stars, but when it fell, many planets were lost, cut off, forgotten." He looked at Lorin now. "Velmara is one of them." Lorin stepped back. "That's not possible," Rhodes continued. "Your DNA matches old Earth colonists. Your architecture has echoes of Earth design. That device you found, it was an Earth beacon. You are our past." Loren's hands shook. "Then why treat us like prisoners?" Rhodes gave a small smile. "Because prisoners can rebel, but history must be claimed." Meanwhile, in orbit above Velmara, new ships began to arrive. Not GRAL Tech.Earth ships. Dark, silent, massive. They carried no weapons on the outside, but inside. Inside was Protocol Black, machines designed to rebuild planets. Re-educate civilizations and erase the parts that didn't belong. Saren watched from a cliff as one of the black towers lit up. She spoke into her communicator. "Chancellor, one of the new towers is transmitting outward into deep space," Lorin responded. "Can you block it?" "No," she said. It's beyond our systems now. She turned to Yali, standing beside her. They've taken over everything. Yali said nothing. She just stared into the light. Inside the council hall, Lorin met Rhodes. One final time. This time, there were no guards, no assistants, just them. Lorin asked, "Why come now?" Rhodes looked him in the eyes. "Because the galaxy is changing. Empires are rising. Wars are coming. Earth doesn't want allies. Earth wants its past. We claim our echo worlds before someone else does." Lorin clenched his fists. "You call it claiming. I call it conquest." Rhodes gave a small, tired smile. "Conquest uses bombs. We used knowledge, control, fear, and choice. Choice." Lorin asked bitterly, "What choice did we have?" Rhodes leaned in close. "You called for help." Outside, the Velmarin people watched as the black ships in orbit began lowering massive machines to the surface. Towers, factories, archives. Not just for defense, not just for rebuilding, for erasing. Yali, walking through the Eastern District, found a strange device left on a bench. It looked like a small cube, glowing softly. She touched it. A voice spoke from it. A woman's voice. "Welcome to EarthNet. You are now part of the Terran Archive. Identity pending, adjustment." She dropped the cube, but the message was clear. Velmara no longer belonged to itself. It had become a memory in someone. Elsa's story, the final moment, came quietly. No more battles, no more fire, just a change of names. Velmara was renamed Echo-47. Its people were reintegrated, its history rewritten. The Graltech were gone, but what replaced them was far more dangerous, because it smiled, because it helped, because it came when called, and never left. And so the galaxy would learn a lesson too late. Be careful who hears your cry for help, because sometimes the ones who answer are worse than the enemy.